I have been requested to give some of my reminiscences of Mahapurush Maharaj, Swami Shivananda, who was one of the great monastic disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, as you know. By now there is plenty of literature available in English about Mahapurush Maharaj, but there are many more books about him which have not been translated yet. Mahapurush Maharaj was very close to Maharaj or Swami Brahmananda. He was older than Maharaj or Swamiji or other monastic disciples except Swami Advaitananda. Swami Advaitananda, or who was also called Buddha Gopal, the elderly Gopal. He was the oldest in age of all the monastic disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. Next to him was Mahapurush Maharaj. That is why the brothers used to call him Tarak Dada. Tarak was his name. Taraknath Ghoshal was his name before he became a monk. And Dada means elder brother. And Maharaj, Swamiji, even Swamiji used to call him Tarak Dada. Maharaj also used to call him Dada, Tarak Dada. He became the president of our order in 1922, after the death of Swami Brahmananda. And he died in 1934. So 12 years he was the head of our order. I had the blessed opportunity, good fortune, to see him through 9 years. I first met him in 1925 when I had just come to Calcutta to study in the college. That was 1925. And through my student life, I used to come to Belur Math when he would be there. Sometimes he would be on tour in Madras or in some other places. But whenever he would be in Belur Math, I and similar other devotees used to go from time to time and see him. Then when I joined the monastery finally in 1930, I had the opportunity of continuously staying at Belur Math for 4 years. Mahapurush Maharaj was tall, taller than any average Bengali. See, you could call him like a tall Texan. Proportionately, he was very healthy looking, tall and wide, and very imposing figure. In fact, I was first fascinated by his figure. 1925, it happened to be Shivaratri day. Shivaratri, as you know, you observe here and in Hollywood, the day of Lord Shiva, the night. He had been away from the headquarters for more than 1 year. He was touring in South India and other places. He had just arrived at Belur Math just a few days before Shivaratri. So I and several other students went there. Our idea was to spend the night there, join the Shivaratri festival. And also Mahapurush Maharaj has come, it would be an opportunity to see him. Previous to that, I had heard about him. There was one college student, he was much senior to me. I was studying then just the first year of college. And this student, later on he also became a sannyasi in our order. He was studying in his MA class. So I had the coincidence, I had met him, and he was already initiated by Mahapurush Maharaj. he used to tell about Mahapurush Maharaj. He would say that he will see what a person, spiritual personality he is. So there was great expectation on my part. And I had by that time seen some other old Swamis of our order, like Swami Shraddhananda. I had also seen Swami Shraddhananda, Swami Abhedananda. But this student used to tell me about Mahapurush Maharaj. So there was an expectation. I used to visualize in my mind, old man, old Swami, how would he look? See, in my mind I used to form a picture of Mahapurush Maharaj. So when I came to Belur Math for Shivaratri, we came early afternoon. Many devotees had come because he had come to Belur Math after a long period, and that was a holiday. So several devotees were present, and they were waiting in the porch there, veranda as we call in India, facing the river Ganga. There were chairs, long benches there, and some were standing, and they were expecting Mahapurush Maharaj to come down. And he came down. That was about 5 o'clock or so. And slowly he came down. And as I saw him, that was love at first sight. I see, he surpassed all my imaginations. I thought an old man, Gerua-clad old man, like, oh no. See, he was at that time, he was over 70. And his face was beaming with joy. And was greeting the devotees. As old like devotees he was. Many were there. He recognized some was talking, how are you doing, like this. And then he sat on one of the benches. And he was, some people are asking him about his tour and all. Then he was talking, I was watching. Then this student friend, he said, you come, I will introduce you. I said, no, there's so many crowds. I was a sort of shy person. No, don't take me there. We shall come another day. No, you come. So all the devotees were saluting him, touching his feet. And he dragged me. This friend of mine, he dragged me. He was Mahapurush Maharaj, and he was very well known. Mahapurush, his name was, say, S. How have you been doing? Oh, yeah, Maharaj, fine. How are your studies going on? He was studying for his final MA examination. Then he dragged me. Maharaj, this boy is coming to the Belur Math, and hello, good. And he has fasted. That was Shivaratri. Many people do the fasting, and the whole night they join in the worship and singing and all. As soon as he heard he has fasted, oh, fasted, good. All the time every word was so joyful and so sweet. And we sat, then he said, well, today is Shivaratri, day of Lord Shiva. Those who have come and joined the worship at the night with the monks, oh, they are blessed. They will feel so much joy and peace. He began to talk of Shiva, Lord Shiva. Then I felt, well, he is Shivananda, his name is Shivananda. And so he is inspired by the very mention of Shiva and the worship that would continue. So my first impression was very happy, and I felt that he is my teacher. Previous to that was in my mind, there was some, because I had gone to several places, I had met several sadhus and holy men. Then I used to go regularly to attend Swami Abhedananda's classes there. He had by that time established a center in Calcutta, rented. I used to go there, and I was acquainted with some of the brahmachari disciples of Swami Abhedananda, and they began to like me. And they also used to talk about Swami Abhidananda, why don't you come take initiation? I had no idea of initiation. But these brahmacharis, one of them particularly used to just suggest to me that I should take initiation. But I was not responsive. Somehow I felt. Then one day he did a strange thing, this brahmachari. One day I had come to attend the class of Swami Abhidananda. It used to be held in a hall in that building, a small hall, sort of a big living room. And devotees were waiting for him in another room. And Swami Abhidananda had to pass through that room, from his room to that hall where the class would be held. And he, with his books and all, he was passing. And everybody stood, I also stood. Then he was looking. Then this brahmachari pointed out to me, Maharaj, this boy has been coming for some time and attending your classes, and he looks upon you as his guru. Like that he. And Swami Abhidananda looked at me, smiled. Good, good, good. See? He said, good, good, good. And then he went to the class. I sat there and all. So in my mind there was not a conflict, but this kind of thing. But when I saw Mahapurush Maharaj, I felt that it is necessary to have a teacher. And he is my teacher. That it was settled in my mind. Then Shivaratri usually, as you know, takes place little before, 2 days before Sri Ramakrishna's birthday in the month. Some year it is February, some year in March. So Shivaratri was over, Sri Ramakrishna's birthday was over.
Shivaratri.
Yeah.
Yes. It's on now.
Then the Indian month, the last month, it is called Chaitra, corresponds to April, middle of April and part of May. That came. So a few days after Sri Ramakrishna's birthday, I came to Belmont. Then I saluted him. Then he vaguely remembered me. I said, I met you, I used to call him Suresh Da, brother, he was elder. It brought me to you. Yes, yes, I remember. Then I entreated, kindly give me Diksha. Then he said, well, this is the last month of Chaitra. The Diksha should not be taken in this month. Wait for the new year to come. The new year is, Indian new year is Vaishak. It is usually May. You wait for the new year to come. I said, all right, yes. I sat there for a few minutes, saluted him, came. Then the first day of the new year I came again. And so he smiled. I said, you had said that you would kindly give me Diksha, initiation. Oh, and today is the new year. Oh, you have come the first day of the new year. That is a day of, many people come. It is a crowded day for Belur Math. First day, many devotees come to the Math and all. It is also in Bengal, it was a holiday, first year. So many had come. So he said, it is the first day. Then I said, shall I come then tomorrow? Oh, he had a hearty laugh, you know. All right, come tomorrow. See? So I went next day, fruits and all. It was over. Then we used to go, sometimes I had college and all. During my college period, I used to go and several devotees and all, the Swamis. It was a nice time. It was a blessed time to. Then when I joined the Math in 1930, there was more opportunity of seeing him every day. It was his custom. His day used to begin at 3 o'clock. He used to wake up 3 o'clock or 3:30. He was pretty old, but still, in those days I had seen him strong. I've seen him walking in the gardens, inspecting the cows, all these things, quite robust and all. But when I joined, slowly his health began to decline. He would not come to downstairs. The doctors did not want him to come. But he would go to the shrine. And early morning he used to finish his meditation. He was very austere in his food habits and all. Formerly he led a very austere life. Everybody used to say, Mahapurush Maharaj. There are pictures, at least one picture, very stern looking, you see. They used to say, the early days, he was sitting in some place. The monastics would try to avoid his gaze, you see. They would go in a roundabout detour so that they have not to confront Mahapurush Maharaj. You see, in the older days, he was very austere. But ever since he became the president, and everything changed. He became very sweet, you see. Devotees used to come and he was motherly affection. All these things began to show, you see, as soon as he became president, soon after, you see. So he used to be ready by 6 o'clock in his room. He would take one glass of Horlicks milk and one sandesh that was offered in the morning, and maybe one cream cracker biscuit, you see. Very simple breakfast. And he would finish that, and by 6 o'clock he was. Our day at Belur Math begins very early. 6 o'clock becomes, because the monks in those days, usually they used to get up. The first morning Vesper begins at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock. So by 6 o'clock he would be ready, and the monastics, brahmacharis and sannyasis, they would come to salute him. From 6 o'clock or 6:30 some days, about 2 to 3 hours, he would sit there and he would greet everybody. It was difficult for devotees to come from Calcutta, because in those days conveyance, transport was very difficult. But still some devotees during that period could come and he would greet everybody. That 2 or 3 hours was really a period of great joy. Naturally, spiritual topics would come. Sri Ramakrishna would come, the topic about his brother disciples would come. And it was such a joyful time for everyone. And he had plenty of humor also. One day, there was a Swami. He recently died just 2 years ago. He was very short, but plump also. Very energetic. And later on, he became our... You remember Swami Vivekananda in one of his early letters from this country. He used to write to his brother disciples, why don't you go to villages with magic lantern slides, magic lantern giving and teach education, health, these things. Sannyasin should do that. Instead of just sitting and you should. Even if when he was in this country, in some of his letters, we find he was inspiring his brother disciples for humanitarian service. And he mentions this, take a magic lantern and make some slides about health, about geography, about elementary science. Oh, what are you doing? Not necessary. Yes, it is all right. No, please sit down. No, not necessary. No, when I am talking, I am forgetting your sun or moon. Not necessary. So this Swami, he took a fancy in that Swamiji's mission. So he began to collect these slides, magic lantern, not movies. And he used to go to different ashramas, villages. That became a sort of mission in his life. That was much later, not during Mahapurush Maharaj's period. I am speaking of that Swami. Everybody loved him. He was not much educated, not much education. He was when our there was an industrial weaving school at one time in our mutt. At one area of our mutt, there was one of the Swamis used to run that for teaching weaving to poor students who could go to that village and a sort of craft. And this Swami, he was a boy then, he was a student of that. And gradually by association with the sadhus, he was drawn to this life. And Mahapurush Maharaj had initiated him. And he was liked by everybody. Because besides his skill in weaving, he had also another skill. Making images, clay images. Later on he used to, many ashramas, it was he who used to make the whole image of Mother Durga for Durga Puja. So this Swami was liked by everyone. So he had sannyas a few years before that. And one day he had come to Mahapurush Maharaj. Then Mahapurush Maharaj asked him, "Who are you?" Then he was a little puzzled, you see. He thought, oh, Mahapurush Maharaj has forgotten me. Who are you? His name was Pashupati. Yes. And everybody used to call him Pashupati. Usually in India, nobody calls by sannyas name. Because they come raw, you see, and that name becomes familiar. For example, Swami Prabhavananda. Invariably in India, he was known as Avani Maharaj. You see? Very few would call him Swami Prabhavananda, Avani Maharaj, this Maharaj, that Maharaj. That is the custom in India. So everybody used to call him Pashupati, Pashupati, Pashupati. So he said Pashupati. Then Mahapurush Maharaj said, "No, who are you?" Maharaj, I am Pashupati. "No, who are you?" See? Then it struck him. He said, "I am Pranavatmananda." His sannyas name, his monastic name. Yes, you are a sannyasin. You should not forget that you are a sannyasin. You are Pranavatmananda. And everybody laughed, he also laughed, you know. In this way, he used to, that occasion of 2 or 3 hours in Belur Math during those days, everybody looked forward to that time. Of course, the monastics had their business, nobody could stay there 3 hours, they had to go to their respective. But as long as possible, they liked to stay there. If there was no room, place inside the room, they would go to the door, corner, creeping like that. And that was really a period of great joy, more than meditation, more than meditation. I remember many incidents of that period, I will tell you one. Mahapurush Maharaj was very fond of the Shiva Mahimna Stotra. There is a famous hymn to Lord Shiva, a very long hymn, and Swami Pavitrananda of New York translated that. That is available in a small booklet, Shiva Mahimna Stotram translation. He was very fond of that hymn. And Monday in India is considered to be Shiva's day, Monday. So he would ask somebody to read the whole hymn on Mondays. And there is a Shiva's temple near Belur Math towards Dakshineshwar, about 1.5 miles. It is called the temple of Kalyaneshwara. So Shiva has different name. If you go to Bhuvaneshwar, there are many old dilapidated temples. And each Shiva has a name, all ending in Ishara. Ishara means Lord. Maharaj, Swami Brahmananda, was in Bhuvaneshwar 1 year, and he had given sannyas to several of the candidates. And he named each one after some Shiva in Bhuvaneshwar. Bhuvaneshwarananda, Megheshwarananda, Bhaskareswarananda. All the names are Shiva's name in Bhuvaneshwar. 1 year Maharaj did that. So in Belur Math, this particular Shiva near Belur Math is called Kalyaneshwara. Kalyana means well-being, Kalyana. And Ishvara is the Lord of well-being. That is the literal name. Sri Ramakrishna had visited that temple. From Dakshineshwar he had come by boat. So to Belur Math, that temple memory is very sacred. Even now I think That tradition was started by Mahapurush Maharaj. Every Monday, he would send a Swami with flowers, fruits and sweets to offer puja to that temple. Every Monday he would send. And every Monday, in his room, he asked some Swami to read that Mahimna Stotra. And one verse was particularly very appealing to him. The meaning of the verse, the translation is that, O Shiva, Shiva Mahimna Stotra means the hymn describing the glories of Lord Shiva. This verse says, if Mother Saraswati herself begins to write about your glories, and if the whole earth be a sheet of paper, the surface of the earth, and if the ocean be the ink pot, and the Mount Meru, one mythological mountain, be this pen, and Mother Saraswati, who is the goddess of learning, if she begins to write about your glories, she would not succeed. So endless are your glories, even Mother Saraswati writing through all times in that vast sheet, and with ocean as the ink pot. These are exaggerations, poetic exaggerations. It is permissible when you want. If you say somebody, you look beautiful. It's when you talk with somebody. But when you write about that somebody, you have to write one whole page, how beautiful you are, how beautiful your hair is, your nose is. You see? That is called poetry, and in poetry lies are necessary. But they are permissible lies. They are called poetical exaggerations. So in Shiva, that verse, but for the devotees, they serve a purpose. Great psychological purpose. You see? Sometimes we need lies, spiritual lies, in order to strengthen our devotion. You see? So when a devotee reads about these glories of Lord Shiva through these descriptions, he's thrilled. He's thrilled. The Lord whom I have loved is so great, so great, so great. See? It strengthens our devotion, our faith. So Mahapurush Maharaj was very fond of this particular verse. Now I remember the Sanskrit. Asita giri samasat kajjalam sindhu patre surataruvar shakha lekhani patra murbi likhati yadi grihitva sarada sarvakalam. Sarada means Mother Saraswati. Tadavi tava gunanam isha parang yati. That is the Sanskrit. He was very fond. So sometimes some Swami has come from the south. There was one incident, you have heard of Swami Shivananda. There was a South Indian Swami, Mysorean, and he had come to Holy Mother, and Holy Mother also, he was a district magistrate, commissioner of the Mysore state. Very, famous man in this state. But he came and met Holy Mother. Holy Mother initiated him, and he became a staunch devotee. And then later in his life, he retired, and then he became a sannyasin, a monk. His name was Swami Shivananda. He was the grandfather of Swami Bandhanananda. Grandfather means Swami Bandhanananda's mother was also a disciple of Holy Mother. And she was the daughter of this Swami Shivananda. And Swami Bandhanananda, most of you have seen him. Most of you. I have not forgotten him. So this Swami Shivananda came from South India for a short visit to Belur Math. And he had come, Mahapurush Maharaj, and he asked him, well, Shivananda, his name was Narayan Iyengar. Do you remember Shiva Mahimna Stotra? Well, yes, Maharaj. Then he asked, he did not know much of Sanskrit in those days. Then he asked one of his attendants, whose name was later on Swami Kailasananda. He is now one of our vice presidents. His story is also very interesting. I will come next to that story. He was a professor, and he had become a sannyasin, and he used to he joined this personal staff of Mahapurush Maharaj. He used to do a little letter writing, reading something at that stage. So he asked Swami Kailasananda, his name was Shailesh, bring that book, and then read that particular verse to Sivasananda. So he read the Sanskrit, translate that into English. Then he was fumbling. Then before Mahapurush Maharaj, so many Swamis, Brahmacharis were standing there. But he was a professor, you see. He translated. But one place he goofed, you see. The word Mahima, Mahima really means glories, see. He said qualities. As soon as Mahapurush Maharaj heard qualities, you are a professor? Yeah. Worthless. Mahima you translate as qualities, glories. Like that, you see. And then he himself, you see. At that time, Mahapurush Maharaj was much older, you see. He began to himself, in English, rendering, you see. And when he was doing this, closed eyes, glories. Mother Saraswati cannot end describing the glories of the Lord Shiva. And sometimes some senior Swamis would come from other centers, And one occasion, there was a Swami who was a disciple of Holy Mother. You have heard his name, most probably, Swami Jagadananda. He also joined the mutt at a much later. He was a school inspector, he had married. Then later on he came to Holy Mother, he was Holy Mother's disciple. But he was, in our order, they respected him as a Jivan Mukta. His life was such, you see. He was very well versed in all the Vedantic literature. Besides that, he had really experience, Vedantic experience. And wherever he would stay, usually he used to stay in Benares. And he used to conduct classes on Upanishads, on Gita, Brahma Sutras, for the monastics and all. And everybody felt so inspired. Attending his class, one of his scripture class, was equivalent to meditation. He used to lift the mind of these listeners. And he had a smile on his face always. He was pretty old then. The time when I was speaking, maybe he was 65 or 68. His name was Ramani Mohan. Ramani means woman, and Mohan means charmer, the charmer of women. Figuratively, it goes to Krishna, the Lord Krishna, the charmer of the gopis. So, but his name was Ramani Mohan. Then he came to visit. He was staying at Belur Math, and one morning he came to salute Mahapurush Maharaj. As soon as he came, Mahapurush Maharaj stood up, sat like this, and with so much joy, his eyes shone with joy. Come, 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 Ramani Mohan, he used his former name. And he said, you are Holy Mother's Ramani. He did not say Mohan then. That means you are Holy Mother's woman. Out of fun, to make some fun. You are Holy Mother's Ramani. But to us, you are Swami Jagadananda. And a hearty laugh. Come, come. He asked one of his attendants to bring a chair. Because he was pretty old. He made him sit by his side. And How are your classes going on, scripture classes? He knew all these things. By the way, I had the blessed opportunity of, he was in Belur Math once during his stay. I had heard so much about him and so much about his classes. So I thought if I have a little opportunity of, so I one day approached him. The Maharaj had so much desire, but, well, what of that? I can take a class for you. I have nothing to do here. In the morning, say, come at 9 o'clock. Then he and I would go to one room and Kena Upanishad, the smallest Upanishad, that took only 1 month, But I remember that 1 month studying under him. So he came and Mahapurush Maharaj was so hearty welcome and joy. Another occasion I remember, another aged Swami, he was also a disciple of Holy Mother. His name was Swami Premeshananda. He was also a very wonderful Swami. He was a Swami maker for years. He was inspired by Swamiji's works. By now it will be about 10 years. Yes.
It's on.
His name was Premeshananda. He started when he was a school teacher. And he started this education, meeting young people, drawing them to Swamiji. And as that kind of, he was a celibate, never married. As a school teacher, he drew many young people. And at least a dozen of them have later on joined our order. He became, but he, at that time, he was a school teacher. His ashrama was started, a Shilet, now it is in the state of Assam. But it is a Bengali speaking area. Swami Ashokananda comes from that district. As also Swami, who is that Swami? Who also belongs to that district. Swami Swahananda also comes from that district. And also Swami Shanta Sarupananda, who was in Berkeley, now he has gone back to India. He also came from that district. So this Swami began to carry on that educational work, and that ashrama he started, but he had his own mother then. He felt a kind of obligation to serve his mother. Then later on, when his mother died, in the meantime, he had corresponded with Mahapurush Maharaj, and then when his mother died, he came to Belur Math. And Mahapurush Maharaj at once gave him sannyas, you see. And he never returned to his old country. He worked, even in his old age, he was a great karma yogi. He worked in many places, and he was a writer of many songs to Sri Ramakrishna, to Holy Mother, to Swamiji, and he had also written several books about a children's book for Sri Ramakrishna biography, like that. But apart from that, his character, his spiritual character, everybody adored him, you see. And when he used to come to Math, all the monks would crowd at his place. Our present President Maharaj, Swami Shivananda, would go there and sit near him, you see. He was much older. And Swami Premeshananda, he had written many beautiful songs, and each song, one song particularly, Maharaj heard that song, Holy Mother heard that song. When Maharaj first heard that song, one of the Swamis of that ashram, he had a very good voice. His name was Somyananda. He was also a disciple of Maharaj. So he was one day singing that song, written by Swami Premeshananda. Maharaj heard this. Who has written this song? Who has written this song? Then somebody who has this, speaking of this experience, spiritual experience. And Mahapurush Maharaj was extremely fond of this song. This song, I have only 8 minutes, sir.
Oh, I have more than that. No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I had planned to tell some more interesting stories, but what's the time limit, tell me?
For Prabhupada?
It's 5 minutes.
All right, let me go on.
Yeah.
Then this Swami Prameshananda had come for a visit, and as soon as he entered Mahapurush Maharaj's room, the same thing happened. He was, come, Prameshananda. Then he said, in English, he said, you have become immortal by one song. And that song is about the incarnation, divine incarnation of Sri Ramakrishna. It begins from the infinite ocean of Brahman, and ripples began to come, the ripples of compassion, and the form of the incarnation comes, the form which surpasses all beauty, all other beauty. Like this it goes. Giving the idea of divine incarnation of Sri Ramakrishna. And the last line says that now you have come and I have offered my life to your feet. For your service. I am ready for your service. I don't care for anything else. You have come to help mankind and I am here to serve you. Like this, very wonderful ideas. And Mahapurush Maharaj greeted him like that. In this way, at that period, you see, many Swamis would come from other centers. Senior Swami Shraddhananda was a disciple of Swamiji. He was the secretary of Mutt. He could not come every day. Whenever he would come, Mahapurush Maharaj, all, you see, affection, regard. You see, whether you are a young monk or you are an elderly monk, that same consideration and compassion and love was noticed. When Swami Shraddhananda comes, hey, get a chair for Sudhir. The name was Sudhir Maharaj. And began to ask, how are your classes going on? Swamiji blessed you that you would be a scholar, Pandit. And that has become true. You are conducting so many classes and all. He began to give him, encourage him, you see. This used to happen, you see. And now I will tell you about this Kailasananda. He was a professor working in a district town, now it is Bangladesh, capital of Bangladesh, Dhaka. And he was a very devoted disciple of Mahapurush Maharaj. Now this summer vacation he had come, he used to come to Belur stay during the summer vacation. But he had an intense desire for renunciation. Though he was married, but it was not a physical marriage, you see. He was leading a very celibate life, even though he was married. And his wife also was like that. Wife also was a disciple of Mahapurush Maharaj. But he wanted to become a monk. Mahapurush Maharaj said, no, make first all provisions for your wife. And then your wife must give you consent, because your wife is also my spiritual daughter. I cannot ignore her. So these things happened. And this summer vacation, he had pleaded and pleaded every year. Mahapurush Maharaj would say, wait. And this year he knew that no use repeating his entreaty. So he was staying, the summer vacation was coming to an end. He was staying in the Belur Math and all, serving Mahapurush Maharaj. Then one day Mahapurush Maharaj asked him, when you have to go, when your college is going to open, such and such is date. Lo, that much. Then after 7 days, when you have to go? That date, I have to go. The third time, when you have to go, your college will open. Such and such date. Don't go. Stay here. You see? Now he joined the monastery. And at first he was puzzled, but he was so happy, you see, that Mahapurush Maharaj by himself has permitted him. Then at that time Mahapurush Maharaj he asked him to stay near him, do little odd jobs, cleaning this and that, and scolding him like nothing, anything. He wanted to make him forget that he was a professor, you see. That was all the time the principle of these great disciples. If you, any kind of the pride, you are a learned man, they want to thrash your ego. I had that experience also. He trusted me, you see. So, he allowed him to stay near him. And he was very happy. Then Mahapurush Maharaj one day said, well, this body is getting old, it is not doing well. I want to make him a sannyasi. That was my intention. Now the sannyasi used to be given on Sri Ramakrishna's birthdays. And that was August, it's far away. Then Mahapurush Maharaj said, if this body goes, then that idea will not be materialized. I will give him sannyas. Find out a nearest holiday. The nearest holiday was Kali Puja. I will give him sannyas on Kali Puja. It was most unusual. But he said that. Then it was arranged. Then there was one Swami, one brahmachari, he was waiting for sannyas. He was working in a center. He had got permission to spend 1 year in exclusive tapasya, meditation. And the authorities had permitted him. But he was staying at Belur Math. He was waiting for sannyas. Then as a sannyasin he would go. Then when some of the brother monks suggested to him, you see, Mahapurush Maharaj is giving sannyas to Shailesh, you also go and approach him. Then you can have your sannyas earlier. And you will have more time, more opportunity to take your mind to the sixth plane. So he came. And Mahapurush Maharaj agreed. All right. So 2 of them were given sannyas on a Kali Puja night. Exception. There was unusual compassion. These are the examples, you know. Another young brahmachari once came from Madras. He came to take his brahmachari initiation. The Mahapurush Maharaj took a liking with this boy, very alert. Mahapurush Maharaj said, I will give him sannyas. Huh? Then all the authorities, secretary, everyone became perplexed. They came and pleaded, Maharaj, don't make this exception. He should go to the procedure. He has come, he's brahmachari, then he has to wait 4 years. Huh? Oh, I don't care. You see? Huh? I will give him sannyas. He gave him sannyas. Of course, in those days, Mahapurush Maharaj's word was scripture. You see? Nobody would argue and reason. You see? His word was scripture. Now about this Shailesh Maharaj, he became Swami Kailasananda. And he was around him. Then one day, you have heard of Ramlal Dada, Sri Ramakrishna's nephew? He came to see Mahapurush Maharaj. Oh, Mahapurush Maharaj, he was so happy. Universally he was called Dada. Ramlal Dada, they used to call him Dada. Dada, Maharaj used to call him Dada. Oh, bring a chair and sat and began to talk of old days. And then this Swami Kailasananda was around. Then Mahapurush Maharaj said, Dada, bless this boy. He was a professor. I made him a sannyasi. And his wife also is my spiritual daughter. She is also very devoted. Dada, bless him, so that his sannyas may be strong. And Dada, of course, was very happy. And he saluted, touched his feet. Then Mahapurush Maharaj asked his attendants to make a big basket of fruits and pile some cloths and some money, all was offering to Dada. Dada was very happy, you see. See? And Dada had a grandson, and they were going. Then after they left, Mahapurush Maharaj said, you see, did you notice Dada's happiness when I gave him all those things? Then he made this little remark. After all, he's a householder. They are very happy when things come. That was one. Mahapurush Maharaj is whenever any special occasion to celebrate the birthdays of these other great disciples. He was in a different mood. I remember one Holy Mother's birthday. You see, from the early morning, he was closed eyes. How can we know your glory, Ma? Mother, mother, Ma. From early morning, it's half closed eyes, he was saying. You are that infinite Shakti, Mahashakti you came. How can we understand you? Soliloquy. To himself he is saying, repeating. And devotees are coming, they are saluting him. He is looking just a little mechanically and saying, Ma, all through the day during celebration. And I once noticed on Maharaj's birthday, Swami Brahmananda's birthday. From the morning, with half-closed eyes. I am the servant of Maharaj. Maharaj is the Mahant of this place. It is Maharaj's smart. This smart is Maharaj's smart. I am the servant. I am the servant. He was saying loudly, soliloquy, you see. And how great was Maharaj. Like that, whoever is coming is speaking of Maharaj. And from his room, the upstairs, his room in Belur Math, the old building, and there was a front veranda, porch, facing the Ganga. He used to walk there. And the other end was Swamiji's room, where Swamiji used to live. And he was walking, every time he comes to the direction of Swamiji's room, he folds his hand. And he says, Jai Swamiji, Jai Swamiji, Jai Swamiji. See? I had happened, when I joined this math, they gave me this duty in cleaning that Swamiji's room. Every morning I used to come and take care of that room, dust the furniture, and put some flowers in his sandals. That was my chore. One day, suddenly a storm came. And I was away, I could not come to the proper time to shut the windows, rain was coming. And Mahapurush Maharaj noticed that. And then he asked his attendants to come shut. And when I came, it was too late. Then he called me. Where had you been? See? Could you have done this if Swamiji was living here? Neglect of duty. See? Then he said, Baba, my child, Swamiji is still present here. You should be very responsible. Swamiji is still present here. Then it so happened the same thing was repeated after a fortnight, after a month or so. You see? I was late in coming. Suddenly rain had come and the windows are open. And when I came, the sevakas called me. The Maharaj is very angry. So when I came, he was looking. So I was trembling like a goat to be sacrificed. You see. And seeing my plight, he smiled. He wanted to give me a big snubbing, you know. And instead, when he saw that I was trembling, you see, then he quietly said, do you have a mind to go to tapasya? I said, no, Maharaj, I am here. Oh. You see, he quietly channeled, diverted that talk, you see. Instead, one day I was enrolled as a student of the Sanskrit school there. We were studying many things, studying Upanishads and all. And one day he asked me, what are you studying? These Upanishads. The Upanishads. But see that it should not interfere with your bhakti. You don't think that self-knowledge can come by force. What is self-knowledge? He said. Self-knowledge is God's knowledge. Thakur's knowledge. Thakur is that infinite self. And if he be pleased, he can give you self-knowledge in one moment. Remember this. So he talked about devotion. Even though you study Advaita philosophy or Upanishads, see that devotion is intact. Then I have seen him in many high moods, you know. He used to say, about Maharaj's birthday, he was all Maharaj. Then one day Swami Ramakrishnananda's birthday came. He was full of Swami Ramakrishnananda, Shashi Maharaj. What a wonderful brother was Shashi Maharaj. Like that he began. So to his brother disciples, I have seen so much reverence. Not to speak of Thakur. On Thakur's birthday, Sri Ramakrishna's birthday, thousands and thousands of devotees coming, pouring. And the attendant sevakas are saying, Maharaj, now rest a little. Rest? Thakur's birthday, I have to rest. He would say. Maharaj, are you feeling tired? Tired? It's Lord's birthday. Now these are, you see, I am saying these things. But if you had have seen him, see, so much feeling in his eyes and his face. See, and for him, from his room, where he used to sit in a chair, through a window, you could see, on the wall there used to be an enlarged picture of Sri Ramakrishna. He would sit there and sometimes look at that picture. And you could see his eyes looking at that picture. And whenever he would speak of Sri Ramakrishna Thakur, he was different, you see. The ways he would look at the picture, the ways he would talk about that with folded hands. See, that used to convince you that this man is living with God. All the time his mind is in God consciousness. See. About Holy Mother, about Thakur, Swamiji, Maharaj. See, on one occasion, the Vijaya night, after the Durga Puja, there is, the fourth day of the Durga Puja is called Vijaya, immersion. And after immersion, devotees greet each other. To the seniors, they do pranams. And that is a big day in Belur Math. The image has been immersed. All people gather and they rush to the temple first, and then to the other temples, and then to Mahapurush Maharaj, the president, whoever. On one occasion, he was sitting there, and all the Swamis, he was closed eyes, he was repeating Purnamada Purnamidam, like this. That is a famous chant in the Upanishads. All this is full, everything is coming from the full. And even though continuously things are coming from the full remains full all the time. Purnamada Purnamidam, that verse. He was closed eyes, he was repeating that. And devotees, Swamis, Brahmacharis, all are coming and saluting him. He was in that mood. Then Swami Vishuddhananda, who was our president after Swami Shankarananda, not 6 months, then he died. He came and he said, Maharaj, bless us that we can also realize this. Certainly we will realize this. Certainly, all of you will realize this. In this way, one day one of these Swamis or devotees, I forget, was asking him, bless me, bless me. Bless me, bless me, what we have but blessings. What else we have but blessings? See? In this way, he was in his last days, the last 4 or 5, 6 years, 8 years of his life, is a life of that kind of ecstasy. And people began to feel that, even though they are living in distant centers, they used to feel his attraction, you see. Swami Vijayananda, you remember, who established our center in Argentina. Mahapurush did not like him to go. A group there wanted some Swami there to start a center. And they thought, let him go. His name was also Pashupati. Mahapurush Maharaj was very fond of him. And he was very aggressive. He used to come to Mahapurush Maharaj, snatch away sweets and all, everything. And Mahapurush was like him, like that, you see. Other Swamis would resent. Oh, he is taking so much advantage. But Mahapurush Maharaj liked him. So when they said, let him be sent to Argentina, Mahapurush Maharaj, at first he approved. And this Pashupati Maharaj was going to Calcutta to learn Spanish. After some time, Mahapurush Maharaj said, no, he should not go. He was very much depressed and all. Then the authorities pleaded to Mahapurush Maharaj, Maharaj, give your permission, let him go. Then Mahapurush Maharaj said, all right, let him go. Now after coming to Argentina, that was in 1932, you see, he wrote one letter to Mahapurush Maharaj. Our order has passed through different stages, you know. The Mahapurush Maharaj's period was also a very wonderful period. Those who had seen that and all, it is a precious memory, it is a precious treasure. Now it is time, sir, 6:15. Our Vesper service has to come, Vesper.
Thank you so much, Swami. I really appreciate that.
What are you doing?
I'm letting it run.
Oh, letting it run.
You might say something else.
No, run for how many minutes? No, take the pictures of these devotees.
I did. I already did.
I see.
While you were talking.
Good.
But yes, you're right. It's 6:15, so we should get...
Sure. We should.
Can we do it again? Because next time maybe you'll talk about M, who I know you knew.
Next time means when? Uncertain future.
We hope soon.
Next time you're here. Soon, we hope.
Oh, who knows when? But we should not make any commitment, you know.
That's wonderful, sir.